Golly, that's good.
I cracked myself up. I still haven't found my first Blanton's. That's different. I really like that.
They're like together, like peas and carrots.
That's funny. Sometimes accidents are good things. Peychauds or Pechauds or Pechaw. This is not what I expected. Hey, how's it going? It is time for another Bourbcast, and welcome to another fun show. We're continuing through the Benchmark series, and I will tell you, I have really enjoyed doing this series. The first one, the old number 8, for what it is, it's not horrible. You know, I've had thinner bourbons. You know, if I was to go back and compare that to this, I probably wouldn't like it as much. But I mean, again, for what it's for, it wasn't bad. Went from that the old number 8 to the top floor. That one was really nice, neat on water and on ice. It kind of fell apart a little bit. Then we went to the small batch. The small batch is the one that we compared to its older brother, the Buffalo Trace, and the Buffalo Trace won that battle. But you know, the Benchmark small batch was the best one so far, and it should be. It's a little bit higher proof. Hey Tom, how are you? It's a little bit higher proof and a little higher in price, and aged. It's a straight whiskey, and there's no age statement on it, so it's got to be at least 4 years, right? So you know, we're getting better and better and better as we go along, and now we go to one that people are talking about on the internet. Now, they say that top floor is their favorite. They say the small batch is their favorite. They're also saying that bonded is their favorite. So we're going to get this bad boy open. All right. Want to sniff the bottle cap? Old Steve Martin joke. Yeah, I'm glad you're good. I'm glad you're good, Tom. All right. Get this poured. Now, so we've been talking about Benchmark, and basically I want to go kind of through, I'll leave that off, let it breathe a little bit. I want to go kind of through what we've been doing. So originally, this was Benchmark, and this is what the whole bottle looked like when Seagram's had it, the rest of the bottle, right? So at that time, as you can tell, Larry's watching. Hey Larry, as you could tell, Benchmark at the time that Seagram's owned it was a 6-year premium bourbon, and this predates all of the stuff that we've been doing in this series. That it was just called Benchmark, and Seagram's had it. Anyway, so that was the Benchmark bottle. Well, now of course you see Benchmark, and they've got these 6 different ones, starting with the old number 8, then the top floor, then the small batch, then the bonded. We're doing bonded now. So old number 8 was aged 3 years. Top floor has no age statement, but it's a straight bourbon. So the minimum age, even with no age statement on the bottle, is 4 years. Small batch has no age statement, but it's a straight bourbon. So again, 4 years minimum. The fourth in my series, which was actually the 5th that I guess Benchmark put out, although I kind of thought they kind of put them all out at once, carries a typical 4-year age statement and is almost 100 proof, just like other bonded whiskeys, bottled and bond. 4 years is the minimum for bottled and bond bottles. They can go longer. The Heaven Hill bottled and bond, for instance, is a 7-year. Right? So, but this is a 4-year. Getting back into bottled in bond. To be labeled bottled in bond, the whiskey must be the product of one distillation season in one distiller at a single distillery, aged in a federally bonded warehouse under U.S. government supervision for at least 4 years, and must be bottled at exactly 100 proof. Additionally, the bottled in bond label must clearly identify the distillery where it was distilled and where it was bottled, if different. So that is bottled in bond, and we had a bottled in bond month. We did the whole month of bottled in bond, and now we're back to it again with this one. It is, again, 4 years, 100 proof, straight whiskey, and bottled in bond. So, and the proof on this one is 100. I just said that's 100 proof. The small batch was 90, so this is upping the game a little bit. It also ups the game on the price by just a couple bucks. The small batch was $17.99. This one is $19.99 in the state of Ohio. All right, so we've got all that out of the way. Let's do some tasting. Let's do some sniffing. Let's do what we're here to do. I had to speed home to get here on time. It was an interesting day. It was a good day. It was a good day. All right. Ooh, the nose on this is much different than the other ones. Now, understand, this is the exact same recipe as all of them. It's mash bill number 1. What matters is how long it's aged, at what proof it's distilled or proofed at. Sorry for ending the sentence with a preposition. Where the barrel sits in the rick house, all those things make a difference on how it tastes. But it's the same mash bill as E.H. Taylor, is the small batch, is the Eagle Rare, the Buffalo Trace, Stag, and George T. Stag. Same mash bill number 1. Which, by the way, if you haven't had this White Dog, it's almost wine-like. It's got almost a wine sense to it. It's kind of tasty. But it's amazing what it can do. There was a series that went out not long ago. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Buffalo Trace. It might have been somebody else that had a 1 year, a 2 year, a 3 year, a 4 year, a 5 year, and a 6 year, all in the same box. And it gave you the opportunity to see. It might have been Heaven Hill even. Gave you an opportunity to see what it was like from the time that it's White Dog to the time that it's at its top age. So if Buffalo Trace is 7, 8, 9 years, you know, you could potentially have a different bottle, 9 different bottles of what it tastes like at that point in its aging process. I don't remember who it was. It was either Buffalo Trace or Heaven Hill or somebody. I don't remember. But it's a neat experiment, and I think it's clever. And I'd have to go back through all my notes to find out who it was. Justin's watching. Hey, Justin. How are you? We're doing the Benchmark Bonded. Let's get to the nose. I kind of got off on a tangent. Let's get to the nose. There is a floral quality there. I'm getting... boy, there's a lot. There's some caramel. There's some butterscotch. I got honey on small batch. I'm not getting it here. I'm looking for it because I love honey notes on my bourbon, and I'm not getting it. No, but the butterscotch is strong. There's a toffee, almost a creme brulee smell to it, which is funny because I'm not sensing any brown sugar or anything like that. And normally, if I'm getting brown sugar, I'll get a creme brulee. Not getting that here. It's probably the butterscotch influence. Whew. There's a bit of an astringency here. Taking it up another 10 proof points. It's giving me no, this is a fresh crack. It'll be different a week from now, right? But right now I'm getting a little bit of that alcohol astringency, a little of that burn on the nose. Some cinnamon and oak. Oak is, yeah, the oak is very present. Not like I'm going to get splinters in my nose here, but I'm getting some oak. And the cinnamon isn't normal cinnamon. It's like the red hot candy. It's kind of a strange mix in between there. Cheers, Justin. Appreciate that. Thank you. Whew. Okay, the astringency is dying down, but that could just be that I've burned all the nose hairs off. I don't know. It could be just about anything that's causing that astringency to lower. It's been open. I've been swishing it. There is definitely some citrus. That's the fruit I'm getting. I'm getting an orange citrus, and it's not the orange peel this time. It's definitely more of a citrus type of thing. The peel can be very earthy. You can get those elements, but the orange peel is different than the orange fruit, and I'm definitely getting more of the orange fruit, that citrus side of things. And it's definitely orange. It's not lemon. Well, now I don't know. now I'm second guessing myself. Hold on. No, that's orange. That's orange. I love doing this. I hope that when you do this, and I hope you're doing it along with me, by the way, first of all. Even if you don't have this, do it with something. And then take the time to train your senses. What are you picking out? What are you finding? It's not like orange and caramel or caramel, if you have a degree, or butterscotch, or honey, or whatever those different elements, cinnamon, red hot candy. It's not like it's in there. It's a scent that reminds you of red hot candy, butterscotch. There's just elements that you pick up that remind you of those things, that seem like those things, even though they're not actually in this glass at all. That's what makes this fun, right? So now I learned how to do it through wine tasting. So it may take a little bit of time to get it for you, but if you get the opportunity and you can sit here and you can dissect what you're getting, what you're sensing, open up your mind to those possibilities, it makes tasting whiskey a lot of fun. I worked with some people that kind of poo-pooed on the whole idea that you could get caramel or caramel if you don't have a degree, orange, all those different scents out of bourbon. They pooped on the idea. It's like, no, it just tastes like whiskey. Wrong. All right, so I think we've given this a pretty good test on the old schnoz. Let's find out what it does on the palate. Let's give it a little swish, little swishy swish. Cheers, as Justin said, cheers. All right, that was an uncharacteristically small sip for me. I'm known to gulp, but I'm glad I didn't in this case, because there was a lot going on in that little sip. I will tell you, first of all, that just a little bit of flavor profile I got off of that. I was trying to find the burn, trying to find that bloom. So I didn't pay a lot of attention to the flavor profile, but this is different than everything else we've had before. I can tell you that right now without even looking into it. Even though it is the exact same stuff. It's the same juice as this and everything else. It's the same stuff, and it is different. All right, so talking about the bloom. That was, again, a small sip, and it was a healthy bloom. It got on the tip of my tongue, and it rolled around, and it grew, and it moved, and it was a really very, very nice bloom. That astringency on a fresh crack showed up a little bit in that bloom. It was kind of hot for 100 proof. I can drink 100 proof with anybody. It's no big deal for me anymore, but every now and then you find one that just is a little bit punching above its weight. It seems a little hotter than it ought to for that proof. This is one of those, at least on a fresh crack. It may change, give it a couple of weeks and it may change and be a little more mellow. We'll do the water test and see what happens to it. But all right, let's get back into it. Let's do this one for mouthfeel. A little bigger sip this time, I think. Okay, so that bloom came back. It's strong enough now. I took a bigger sip too, so that helps. But it coated the mouth, got into the back of my throat a little bit. Really quite nice. I'm not going to tell you that the mouthfeel on this is anything super spectacular. It's kind of average. It's not telling you it's bad. It's not telling you it's awesome. It's just telling you that it's average. It's gonna sit that right there with the mouthfeel of most whiskeys that you drink. It's not thin, but it's not complex. It's not got a high viscosity. I'm not going to tell you that it's buttery or silky or anything like that. It's got some presence. It's not watery, but it's average. The mouthfeel on it's average. The bloom is very nice. So, if you're looking for, a high quality, unfiltered whiskey that gives you all that silky butteriness, this is not it. But there's nothing wrong with this. It didn't turn me off in the least, if that helps. All right, back into it. Let's see if we can find some flavor. Okay. That time that bloom got up in my nose. I won't have to blow my nose again for another week. So what I'm getting predominantly here on this palate would be the oak and the orange, that citrus. Those for me are jumping out ahead of everything else. The cinnamon has now turned from red hot into more like a typical cinnamon flavor that you would normally note. I mean, it's not like eating a cinnamon roll, right? It's a different type of cinnamon, but I'm getting a little bit of that. The caramel is more like a toffee than a caramel. And when I said creme brulee on the nose, it seemed a little bizarre because normally I get brown sugar. Well, I'm still getting that toffee. It's not sweet like caramel or caramel. It's more like a toffee, which is a little bit darker. Maybe a slight, like if you had 100%, this would be 0.1% or something like that. A very slight element of coffee on that, which is going to, again, it's going to move it from that caramel down to a toffee, which is still a nice sweet note. It's really good. It tends to make it a little more earthy, maybe a little bit darker profile. Darker is a really weird word unless you like are in my brain and in my nog and know what I mean by darker, but that's kind of the way it feels to me. Is it's not as bright, right? A bright flavor, which would be kind of your citrus notes. Sometimes there's a mint note. I'm not getting that here. Those would be what I would consider bright notes. The antithesis of that, the opposite of that, would be dark notes. That'd be maybe a date, raisin, maybe a licorice, leather, tobacco, coffee. Those are the notes that I would consider dark, or toffee would be another one of those, where you have the sweetness of caramel versus the sweetness, but more, well, dark. All right. Continuing on. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, I'm not. All right. Vanilla is the other note. As spicy as this is, and that's what I'm getting a little bit of, is a rye spice, which is interesting, because this is a low rye mash bill. The approximation, 75% corn, 17% malted barley, and 8% rye. This is a low rye. The bonded is giving me more of a rye spice. It took me a second to finally identify what it was. It's that rye spice that I'm getting, that oak, that citrus. Yeah, that's actually this is a nice pour. So complexity. We talked about complexity last week when we compared the small batch with the Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace, you know, it ages a lot longer, 7 to 8. I've heard reports of up to 9 years for Buffalo Trace. The complexity in that pour, despite its mellowness, is heads and tails above anything benchmark is. But you're talking about double the aging time, at least, right? So the complexity, small batch versus Buffalo Trace wins. I'm not going to compare the two tonight, because this is 100 proof, Buffalo Trace is 90. There's just not a comparison to be had there. And this is the aging is different, the proof is different, a lot of stuff different, so I'm not going to compare the two. But this one, compared to all the other benchmarks, is definitely more complex than they are. There's more going on. And for me to have to take a minute to get that rice spice and be able to identify it, tells you the depth of complexity that's there. And it's not the rice spice, it's only 8%, but something is hitting me that reminds me of the rice spice that I would get in a higher rye whiskey. All right, so I'm going to take one more sip and then we're going to do the water. All right. Yeah, there's a lot of flavor coming out of this. There's a lot of flavor. This bonded may be my favorite yet. It's got a decent mouthfeel. The proof is right about where I like it. It's got a little bit. It's a little overproofed for 100 proof. It's a little spicy. Complex. Yeah, I like this one. Of the 4 that I've had so far, the bonded so far is my favorite. They all have things I like about them. With the old number 8, the thing I like about it the most is the price. Everything else, on the other hand, you know, if you were to compare them all in the same metric, I'm going to tell you so far the bonded is my favorite. All right, let's do a little water. This is still a healthy pour, so I'm going to add that full milliliter. I'm also going to turn off the sound on my phone in case I get another text. All right. All right. So essentially, when you add water, it's kind of a cheating way of giving it a little bit of time after opening it, right? So you open a bottle, you wait a week, you wait 2 weeks, you wait a month, you wait 6 months. Try that bottle again. It's going to be different than it was when you first cracked it. Sometimes that's good. Sometimes it's like, oh, I liked it when I first cracked it, right? I like that astringency. I like this, that, or the other thing. Did it mellow out? Did it get stronger? What did it do? Stag, what used to be called Stag Junior, for me, I let my bottle sit for 2.5 years and only sipped out of it every now and then. When I first tried it, you saw it on the open. I was like, ha. Now it's like, ooh, so mellow. I like it better now than before, but there are people who are proof hawks that would actually probably still like that bite that it doesn't seem to have anymore, at least not for me. So the water helps make it seem like it's set a little bit longer. It does proof it down, which just letting it sit on the shelf wouldn't, but it gives you a better idea of what the flavors are going to do after it opens up. Okay. There's a flavor in there I can't identify. It didn't change much. There is something that I caught before and I couldn't identify, and now it's a little bit elevated and I still can't identify it. I don't know what it is. I will tell you that the viscosity did improve. It's much more silky now. It improved the mouthfeel a lot. It did improve it down a lot. That was a pretty decent sized pour that I added the water to. So fortunately, just a milliliter of water in this isn't going to kill it. But I can tell you that if you wanted to put this in a cocktail, it'll ride it out. It'll be just fine. It'll be like, I'm still here, we're good. So, boy, I sure would like to find out what that is I'm tasting. It might just be more of that rice spice that kind of came up out of nowhere. It might be elevated now that I've added some water to it. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can identify that. I'm pretty good at pulling out what I think it is. I may not be able to do it this time. That's whatever it was maybe it's umami, right? Which is a sense of deliciousness. Japanese culinary language. Umami is, I think, translates as deliciousness. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, maybe I'm just sensing some umami on this. Because, ooh, mama, that's good. See what I did there? See how I did that? Did you get what I did? It definitely brought more flavor out, for sure. On my second sip, I can tell you that. Wasn't sure the first time. This time it definitely did. I still can't identify what that is. There's a sweetness on the center of my tongue that wasn't there before, at least not as bad, or at least not as much. Now it's on the center of my tongue and it's present and it's standing up and it's saluting and saying, pay attention to me. And I'm going, your name was what? I don't know what it is. I want to tell you that it's one of those notes that just maybe is giving me more. Maybe it's more oak. Maybe it's more citrus. Maybe it's more something. Something is there that is peeking out that's different, and I don't know what it is. I like it though. The water made it better. I don't always say that, do I? In this case, the water made it better. One more of these, then we'll try ice. My brain keeps going back to bubblegum. That's not it. I can tell you, that's not it. It's not cotton candy, it's not bubblegum, it's not that weird sugary something. But there's something there that is allowing a depth to the flavor that wasn't there neat. And I can't identify it. But I really like it. Like I said, it could be more oak, could be more citrus, could be more anything. That was more sedate, neat, that came out on what, I don't know. I don't know what it was. But I like it. All right. Get rid of that glass. Bring this glass out. I got to work with some people that are native of Canada last week. And the woman that I talked to didn't reveal the fact that she was Canadian, but because she said a boot and I want to go oot, I was able to very easily identify the fact that she was from above the border. I should have done the ice first. Oh well. I'll just have to be very gentle. Oh, before I do that, look at this gorgeous ice sphere. Isn't that gorgeous? It's clear and gorgeous for an ice sphere. And now I need to make more. Nice and easy, nice and easy, nice and easy. Nice and easy. Always put your ice in first, folks, all right? Oops, oops, oopsie. I created a bit of a faux pas. But anyway, she said that she's been able to master the rest of the American dialect, except for a boot and oot. And I looked at her and said, it's not that hard. You say about and out, like owl. She said, owl. She was joking. She did that to pull my leg. It was funny. Very smart, very funny lady. Very nice lady. She's not watching. I'm not like, you know, brown nosing or anything. She doesn't even know I do this. I didn't talk to her about it, but if somebody's nice and they treat you well, it's great to recognize those things. Yeah, that's a personal appreciation. That's gratitude, and gratitude's important, particularly in today's life. All right. If you don't wake up every morning and appreciate the fact that you were allowed to wake up, you should. It's important. Not everybody gets that privilege. A friend of mine passed away the other day. Great, nice guy. Really great guy. He was a forester. He walked through land that I own, looked at it, was in love with it. Oh, this is the most beautiful woods I've been in for a long time. I love this woods. It's gorgeous. And now he's not with us anymore. And you know, but I know that every day he woke up and he was grateful that he did. Let's get into it with ice. Okay. No. Okay, if you want to use it in a cocktail, you can. It'll hold up. Flavors are still there. It's just, again, you put ice on it, you mute everything that makes it special. Ice mutes flavor. Ice mutes proof. Ice, even an ice sphere like this one, that's clear and that will melt slowly and not dilute the drink as fast as a regular, you know, handful of ice cubes. Even on this, I can tell you that cold is not the way to drink bonded. However, if you want to put it in a cocktail, the flavor will hold up. I'm getting good flavor out of this. Again, it's that citrus, that caramel came back a little bit, that oak. It'll hold up. Yeah. So if you wanted to use one in a cocktail that's only $19, $19.99, the Benchmark Bonded is a good choice for you. So go for it. Next week, we go up the ladder a little bit more, go from $19.99 to $22.99. That's the Benchmark Full Proof. This is the highest proof in the entire line that Benchmark puts out. The number on this one, 125. I don't know what that was all about. I'm sorry. That sounded lecherous, and I didn't want to sound lecherous. That was not the point. That was not the point. Did not mean to do that. Anyway, bougie ice. It's not bougie. Yeah, it's bougie ice. But the molds are not expensive. That's the nice thing. All right. So anyway, full proof next week as we get closer to ending the series on Benchmark and moving into other things. So I will see you next week for that. I look forward to it. This is 100 proof, and I'm feeling it. Yeah, I should go back to drinking a lot more through the week so I don't feel it as much. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the smaller sips versus the gulps, the smaller sips make me less burpy. All right. 125 proof, full proof, coming next Thursday right here on Beautiful Bourbon, and we will see you then.